Thank you, Madam Chair. It was all the way back on March 25th that the Minister of Finance stated that help for the energy sector was, quote, coming within hours, possibly days, close quote. Well, as it turns out, it hasn't been hours, it hasn't been days, it hasn't even been weeks. Indeed, months later, help has yet to arrive. 77 days after the minister made that statement, not a single energy company has received financing under EDC, BDC, or the LEEFF program. As the energy sector faces an unprecedented liquidity crisis, how can this government possibly justify such a delay?
The Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, weeks ago we opened applications through the Business Credit Availability Program to support small and medium-sized players that make up 85% of the jobs in our sector. We've also opened applications for measures that will be available to our larger players through the LEEFF program. We will continue to work with industry, we continue to support workers, and we will continue to do so to get through this unprecedented challenge. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Mr. Cooper.
Madam Chair, the Vice President of the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers on June 4th said, quote, the entire industry is frustrated with the delay that we are facing, close quote. The Saskatchewan Minister of Energy has spoken about a gaping hole that exists in terms of support for the energy sector, and the gaping hole that I'm speaking of are the EDC and BDC programs that this government has failed to deliver upon. Indeed, it was on April 17th that those programs were announced, and 54 days later, not only has not a single energy company received financing, guess what? They can't even apply, and the eligibility criteria has yet to be finalized. After 54 days, if that is not failing to deliver for the energy sector, what is?
Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, the Business Council of Alberta said that the LEEFF program is a positive development showing that the federal government recognizes the needs and value of Canada's large corporations. Madam Speaker, we agree it is essential that we support our oil and gas sector as it suffers through two crises, the impacts of COVID and the effects of a global price war initiated by Russia and Saudi Arabia. That's why it was weeks ago that we opened applications for liquidity measures to support the small and medium-sized players that make up 85% of the jobs in our sector. And we also announced liquidity made available to our larger players through the LEEFF program. We will continue to work with industry to make sure that these programs are effective. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Mr. Cooper.
Madam Chair, contrary to the representations of the minister, neither the EDC program or BDC programs are accepting applications, and indeed it was just yesterday that officials from both the BDC and EDC were before the Finance Committee, in which I posed to them precisely those questions. Now, we know, Madam Speaker, that the application process isn't up and running, that eligibility criteria remains to be determined. But I guess this government has some good news for the energy sector after 77 days. Now, energy sector companies can go on the BDC website and apply for email updates. Is that the kind of help that the Minister of Finance had in mind after 77 days? Email updates instead of real relief for the energy sector?
The Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, the Alberta Finance Minister, Travis Taves, said on the LEEFF announcement that in combination with earlier measures for small and medium-sized companies, it represented an expression of confidence in our industries.